Hey, how's it going? I'm Nick, the host of the Ekho Academy podcast, a podcast where we tap into the world's collective wisdom and experience to learn how we can be more resilient. In today's episode, I speak with Adam Tai, founder of the Novel Encounter and a published poet. We talk about the pros and cons of being in the business of books, what it's like to have strangers share their thoughts and emotions in order for him to create a poem for them, and the difficulties of the writing process. I started out with a simple intention of having a casual conversation with a friend. But what I learned was the value of using your passion to connect with people. If you're interested in finding out more about Adam, the novel Encounter, and his book of poems, visit echo.academy/Adam. That's ekho.academy/ADAM. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Okay, so I'm curious, and this is one of the questions I really wanted to ask you,
Man.
because you're a writer. Of course, you're an entrepreneur as well with the
I'm gonna
novel.
take a sip of water. As
Yeah,
you
please.
ask me.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. You started the novel Encounter, and for those who don't know, maybe you want to tell us a little bit about that, and then you can kind of segue into the question.
No, I'm kidding. Okay, so the novel Encounter, it started out being this whole. What?
It was just funny.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. So the novel Encounter is actually, it started out as a platform that is meant to, it's for gifts for the nostalgic. So it's mystery wrapped books. So I curate a bunch of fiction books, recently non-fiction as well, and beloved by book lovers across the world. Do you know Goodreads?
I do.
Yeah, of course you know Goodreads. So I made sure to put all the books are 3.9 out of 5 and above. So the quality is up there. Why is it not 4 out of 5? Because there's one particular book I really wanted inside. It was 3.9, and there was no way I was not going to put that book in. So I said, okay, 3.9 out of 5 and above. But then after doing that, I started to sell poetry as well. And so in general, the whole concept just started to crystallize. And in general, it's about books for the gifts for the nostalgic, not just books and not just poetry. So I'm hoping to maybe expand the catalog eventually.
Yeah. And I'm curious because books, traditionally they've never been a popular medium.
Never.
Yeah, even
Never.
when there was only, like printed press, like books were just never the most popular thing. So like for me, I'm curious, as an entrepreneur who makes his bread and butter, selling books, like what is the biggest challenge that you face? I'm sure you have a religious group of followers, but at the same time, as a business, you want to expand. And
Yeah.
like what is the challenge in getting people interested?
I think the main problem is cognitive dissonance in a way. Let me try to put it into words. I'm in a field which is creativity versus meets commerce. So I'm always stuck in the middle between striking the balance. So for example, if I want to sell books with very high margins, I'll go for the ones that are really easy to find. But that takes away my whole curation element. If I wanted to sell typewritten poems at a very high price, I could also do that. But I'm alienating the current base that I have. And so that makes things a little bit difficult. So if I really had to boil it down to the biggest problem, it would be exactly what you said. Books will never be a super popular thing. It would never be something that would scale onwards and onwards and onwards. Like if I was selling something like a necessity like toothpaste or even packet noodles or something like that. So the main issue would be just striking the balance between creativity and commerce. I don't know if that was too long-winded of an answer. Yeah.
No, it's not. And we can delve deeper into it actually,
Sure.
because if this is your bread and butter, so to speak, I know you work on other things as well, but let's assume for a second this is your
Yeah,
bread and
okay.
butter, right? Like it's a bit of an obstacle, because especially when you try to make it accessible to the masses,
Yeah.
then technically you need the masses to purchase. Like
Yes,
if
exactly.
not, you're just not
Exactly.
going. It's just not going to be a viable business. So like, how do you figure out, like, and I know you have a close group of good friends who are entrepreneurs as well. So maybe you
Oh,
guys
yeah.
brainstorm together. But like, how do you try to figure out and solve this problem for yourself?
That is a good question. I'm trying to figure out how to exactly answer that.
Well, you don't need to, give out your model answer.
Yeah.
You can just ramble on until it comes to you. I
Sure.
think that's the beauty of a podcast.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, wait. So the question you're asking is, if I'm correct in answering, is because books will never be a necessity. How do I actually get past this problem to actually make this into a scalable and sustainable business?
Yeah, and more importantly, because you've decided to price it at a point for the masses,
Yeah.
right? You need many people to buy.
Yeah.
So if people in general are not as interested in books as we might want them to be, what there seems to be this challenge you would need to overcome to get more people.
Yeah.
So how do you think about this challenge?
So I never really saw myself as someone selling books to just book lovers. Okay, so my books are sold at $29. For you wanting to buy a book for yourself, it might be a little bit pricey. But for you buying a book as a friend to a friend, then that is actually a relatively cheap gift. So in general, what I've been getting increasingly more is people buying these as gifts. And when you hit the gift market, people start to share, people start to post online, people start to post on Instagram, and that's where people start to get more and more attention of what you're doing. So I'm not selling a book per se. I'm selling an experience. So it's not just a novel, it's a poem, it's a notebook, it's a lapel pin, it's all sorts of things. So in general, it's about the whole concept of gifting than anything else, really.
Right.
Yeah.
So even though the medium is writing or books or whatever we want to, however we choose to define it,
Yeah.
the business is the business of gift giving.
Yeah. Oh. Okay, so going to my backstory. Before I started Novel Encounter, I was a journalist, and then I was a journalist at Straits Times. Then I was a journalist at Fox Sports, and a buddy of mine, Jonathan Shen, shout out the Golden Duck.
Hey.
Yeah,
Free chips, please.
sure. Yeah, I'll call him. So he was the one who told me that maybe I should start trying to do a business of my own, because I was there when he first set up the Golden Duck. I even went down with him at his festivals and stores taking photos like some fanboy, and he told me maybe you should try to start something of your own. And the Novel Encounter was actually supposed to just be an experiment. He told me that why don't you just try to do something that you enjoy, and then you use that to learn the ropes and then start a proper business down the road. And the first year or so, it was really tough because I didn't really know much about marketing. I didn't really know much about sales. I was bad with the whole concept of margins, inventory costs. I mean, all these kind of boring jargon. Like it piles up after a while, and it was a pretty big headache in the beginning. But strangely enough, when I brought in poetry, like a spark suddenly hit, where I'm not selling you as someone who is an expert in fiction. I'm selling you as someone who wants to connect with you and wants you to try and connect with other people. Because if you look at some of the most beautiful things in the world, it actually comes from an element of storytelling. And as that basis of my business, that's what I want it to actually thrive. I do not know if I'm answering your question.
You are.
Okay, yeah, it's cool. Nice.
Yeah. Always seeking that validation.
Exactly. No, that's me.
Am I answering that?
Yeah, that's me.
I
No, that actually is one of my biggest flaws. I always almost always second guess myself. I'm trying to stop that.
It's cool, man. I mean, this is a very casual podcast. I mean, don't get me
Is
wrong.
is that why you're like slowly unbuttoning your shirt?
I am, yeah. It's trying to make it as sexy as.
All right, calm down.
But it's for me. I think these are the questions like I enjoy asking, because I think at the end of the day, I notice a lot of my guests have don't spend as much time as they would like reflecting, and
Oh yeah,
I would like to provide that opportunity, be it in a casual way, of course.
awesome.
But I suppose, you know, when friends like John tells you like to start a business
Yeah.
and to mold it towards something you enjoy and stuff like that, right? What when you see failures, as at least at the start, you mentioned the first year was difficult,
It
right?
was pretty much just one giant failure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Your words, right? When you see failure in a business, but also in something that you really enjoy doing,
Yeah.
how does it feel?
Oh, it's horrible. It's
Okay, sorry. I'll add on to another point to
oh
it. Oh,
cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
because the reason why I'm asking is because some people say that when you enjoy what you're doing when it involves your passion,
Yeah.
it's easier to overcome failures. And I want to know if that's actually true.
It is and it isn't. Okay. Have you heard two schools of thought? There's one school of thought that people say, hey, no matter what, just do what you're passionate about. And if you're passionate about it, you will succeed. And the second one is do something for the money. Life is it is a job, it is work, and you are supposed to charge towards that. Which one do you find yourself more inclined towards?
It's tricky because I think with every job that I do, there are always things that I enjoy doing.
Yeah.
But if I let's say I talk about Ekho Academy now, right?
Oh,
Like,
shout out.
yeah, shout out,
Yeah.
my own.
Yeah.
But like I think what I enjoy about the fact that it's my passion
Mm.
is that when it's my passion, I'm so much more patient
Yes.
about getting to the outcome or the
Yes.
goal. So every time I have a setback or things don't go my way, it doesn't bother me as much because I don't know, I'm like, this is what I love doing. I
Exactly.
know I will get there.
Yeah, exactly.
But if it was not the case, I'll be like, well, what's the next thing then?
Yeah.
Like, so
Yeah.
I feel that way. I don't know about you.
No, sure. So that's what I'm trying to get towards. I'm in between these two schools of thought. I believe that no, you should not just do something just for the passion. No, you should not do something just as work. You should see of it as a goal. So I'm in between these two where I say that in everything that you're working on, you try to tether it to what your main objective is and what you want to actually be. Me, I call myself a storyteller. So in every business that I'm doing right now, whether it's the novel encounter or the other ones that I'm doing, I always try to focus on some element of storytelling so I make sure that everything feels like I'm moving in the right direction. So when the novel encounter wasn't working at first, I just told myself I'm building up life skills. The novel encounter would eventually, if it doesn't grow, I'm learning about all these kind of things like profit margins, dealing with retailers, marketing assets, whether digital or whatnot. Um, and that it kind of accumulated. So somehow I think it was the second year where there was a turning point where I was doing more festivals and I started selling the typewritten poems actually really helped me out.
Yeah.
And so wait, okay, maybe I should say a little bit of what I do. So I actually have a typewriter. Her name is Daisy. Yeah,
Love it.
yeah, exactly.
I've met Daisy.
Yeah, yeah, you have. So her name is Daisy, and we have some good times together. People come up to me with 3 words, and I write them a poem on the spot. And it started out being something just for fun, and suddenly people like Fresh Beauty would call me, Club Monaco, Ferrari, F1, and yeah, so all these kind of brands and they'll just hire me to sit down and chat with their guests. And honestly speaking, and this is not telling them to not pay me, I would really almost do it for free because it's just something I'm so passionate about.
We'll delete that from the podcast.
Yeah, okay. Like, I'm really passionate about talking to strangers. I'm really passionate about finding about the inner nuances, like the oceans within people, as I like to say. And so when you accumulate that which I said before, creativity versus commerce, I'm learning and I'm trying and experimenting. And so the struggle, to answer your question, it feels a lot more personal as a result. But at the same time, it feels a lot more rewarding.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is what separates. Okay, if this was easy, everyone would do it.
For sure.
It's what separates the people who want to hashtag hustle life but they're literally just they're just like talking about it, Instagramming about it, or the ones who actually really, really, really want to succeed because they're passionate about it.
Yeah.
Small segue, by the way. Have you ever you recently realized that YouTube has had a lot of these ads recently? So I remember I saw one. It was about like 10 p.m. at night, and there was I don't want to call them out,
Yeah.
but this person just said, "Hey, did you know that you can start selling without even having a proper idea? Do you know that you can just have a product?" And it really, really, really upset me. And I didn't realize how passionate I was about business until that moment where I went, this is wrong. The most beautiful things about businesses and brands and whatnot is when there's passion and there's element of storytelling behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. When it is, I mean, I've seen these kind of ads more than once. You know,
Everyone
they kind of flood your screen. But the truth is, you know, it's. I mean, the way I see these ads, you know, and I guess it's not knocking them in a way because yeah, you know, everyone has to hustle. Fine, I get it.
Sure.
But the reason why I'll never buy into that is because they are trying to hit you at your most insecure point.
Yes.
You know, which is exactly what the beauty companies do and all of that. So like the reason why their business is successful is
Yeah.
because they're selling you on the dream that and profiting off the fact that you will never reach your dream. You know, like and then after that they say, hey, look to my 0.1% of success stories
Yes.
as the reason why you will achieve your dream. But that's not true.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the fact that it's harder to be successful than it is non-successful means that most likely you're not going to get it.
Yeah.
You know, so if you're fighting against those odds,
Yeah.
you might as well do things you enjoy. If not, really, what's the point? You know, so yeah, I guess in a way I am annoyed as well.
I have a story I'd like to say.
Sure, go for it.
Okay, yeah. So you say you can't do post production where you add a song behind my voice, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So
I'll figure it out. Do you want me to?
no, don't go "Ooh" in the background. Yeah, but okay, just imagine like my voice in a moment of serenity. Okay, have you heard the story of Quit on a Good Day?
No.
Okay, I should love this story. So there's this French gymnast. I think she won the Olympic gold medal, and she used to say that when she was a little girl, her mom would send her off every day to her class, and obviously when you first begin, she was awful at it. She kept hurting herself. She kept falling over. She'd come home in the car crying, and she'd be like, "Mom, I want to quit." And the mom goes, "No, not yet. Let's see how tomorrow." Next day goes in, hurts herself again, comes back crying, tells her mom, "I want to quit." And mom says, No, just one more day. Try one more day. Next day, oh my goodness, she kills it, right? She does some, I don't know much about gymnastics, does some backflip thingy, and the whole class is clapping. The teacher calls her like a genius. Comes into the car, smiling. The mom goes, "You want to quit?" And she goes, "Maybe I'll see how tomorrow." Next day, she screws up again, hurts herself. And she says to her mom, "No, I think I really want to quit." And the mom tells her, "No, don't quit yet. Quit on a good day. Because if you can quit on a good day, it means you never really wanted it in the first place." And I actually love this story. And it's just the whole saying of quit on a good day is one of the most powerful things you can think of. And it actually draws back to what we were talking about, where if you really, really want to do this, and I'm not trying to be one of those, you know what, bro, hustle till you make it, bro. It's just really, if you're passionate about this, yes, it will feel more personal when you fall. But when you succeed, it will feel so much more better.
Yeah.
So much more better. Wow. Yeah, so much better. I'm a
England,
writer.
huh?
yeah, my England very strong.
Yeah, I mean it's a good point, and honestly, who am I to tell people what they should be doing or should not be doing? But
You're the host of Ekho, sir.
but I think I always add a caveat that regardless of who influences you,
Yeah.
like at the end of the day, like if you're going to be easily influenced, then you owe it to yourself to be equally reflective.
Oh, that's
And to-
great.
Yeah, and
That's
to
a great line.
constantly reflect so that at least you can make a decision and say, is this guy's advice good for me or bad for me? But if you're not going to reflect, then you know, in the end of the day, there's going to be very little growth. Whether you
No,
become
exactly.
famous or
Yeah,
not.
I completely agree. You have to. It's good to be adaptable, but you cannot be a complete pushover in terms of what you stand for. Because who said this? If you stand for nothing, you
Oh, right.
if you
I've
stand,
heard this before. But
yeah, if you stand for nothing, you would. I forgot where I heard it, but yeah,
it must be one of those Martin Luther Kings or
yeah,
Gandhi's
yeah,
who must
maybe,
have said
yeah.
it, right?
If you stand for nothing, you fall for everything. Yeah.
So I want to move on to your poetry, because you spoke about it and you speak about it quite fondly. So I think it's worth delving into that. I mean, you write your poetry, and okay, before that, I just want to shout out to my audience as well, because Adam did a poem for me as well. For those who don't know,
Oof.
I'm in a long distance marriage while we work out the visa issues, right?
Oh, good luck, dude.
And
Yeah, man. Being serious, yeah.
And I wanted to do something special for Julia, and so I asked Adam to help me write a poem based on the 3 words. And my God, not only do you knock it out of the park, like Julia actually teared when we were on Zoom.
Oh, no way! So thanks, dude.
Yeah, so it was pretty awesome, and it's a wonderful gift, I think.
Oh, thanks, man. Thank you.
I mean, it must take a lot of brain power really for you to come out with that. But okay, but
Shout out, Julia.
Yeah, and I think the question I have is, people share with you their intimate things when they write poems, or when they ask you to write poems about them. What are some things you've learned about our society and culture based on the things they've shared with you?
That is a bloody good question, dude. That we have multitudes.
Explain.
So, I mean, if you think about it, there are some things that you do not tell your parents. That you smoke, that you have sex before marriage, that you are dating a girl with tattoos or whatnot, right? So, I think when I'm at events, it's actually a very humbling experience. So I'm sitting down, and someone will just come up to me and they'll say the most heartbreaking things, and I'm literally a stranger with a typewriter. So what makes you break the social contract? Where when you're a kid, you cry openly, but when you grow older, your parents tell you to shh.
Yeah.
So you start to learn. Okay, I knew hold myself in, like I knew guard up, So have you been to Melbourne before?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. So I studied in Melbourne for 9 years, and the best thing is always going to the counter when you're buying milk or whatnot, and they always go, "Hey mate, how's it going?" And even if you're having the worst day, you go like, "Ah, it's going good. How about you?" "Ah, it's going good, mate." That's all you have to say.
Yeah.
But can you imagine if you went, mate, how's it going? Oh, it's horrible. Oh, my girlfriend left me for my sister. I don't know what I'm going to do. And he'd be like, mate.
There'll be plastic with this.
Yeah, there'll be 14, 50 years. I mean, so you are taught from the very beginning to guard up. And so what makes people open up and show their vulnerabilities? And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Can I answer your question with another question?
Sure.
What off the top of your head, what do you think is the most beautiful thing someone can say to another person? 3 words.
The one thing that comes to my mind is "I love you," I guess.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love you too, man. So
was that what you were trying to
smooth. Yeah, okay, so in my mind, it's supposed to be "I love you," but I think that pop culture and I think popular culture just made it so, and modern dating makes it so effortless that people say "I love you," right? I remember I was once dating someone, and she got mad that I didn't say I love you after I think 3 weeks. Okay, nothing knock on her. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just a little bit strange, but I feel that people say "I love you" too easily, and it's supposed to be the most important 3 words that you say to another individual. But for me, I think the most beautiful 3 words you can say to someone is "I recognize you." It's I see you for what you've gone through, what you're going through, your triumphs, your tribulations, your sorrows, and I recognize all of it. And it's okay. And it's more than okay, it's fantastic. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things that someone can say to another. And in this whole thing of the social contract, the modern dating, popular media, popular culture, everything. The most beautiful thing about strangers is when you have that first moment to connect, and it's absolutely humbling.
Yeah. So you think, so in your, well, not in your mind, but do you think that you found a way to break that social contract?
No, I don't think it has any. Okay, maybe it's just me being self-deprecating. I don't think it has anything to do with me. I think it's just maybe it's easier for strangers to open up to someone who they might never see again.
Yeah.
Um, tell me the question again. Sorry.
Yeah, sure. So I mean, I basically, because your job when you write poems is to have people share 3 words with you, or something deep and meaningful and private. And I was curious to kind of know, like, what are some of the things you've learned about society and
Yeah.
culture as a
Okay.
whole. And I think one thing you brought up was really that social contract and the need for us to guard ourselves.
Yeah.
But another powerful thing you brought up is for us to acknowledge that we recognize the person that's in front of us,
Yeah.
more than anything. Having said that, though, like,
You're wrong.
No,
But
no. I 100% agree about the comfort of talking to strangers.
Yeah.
And I'll give you my example. I remember, I was in London, and I was by myself because I was waiting for my cousin's wedding, so I was just like kind of hoboing around that area.
Hoboing around.
For a few days and stuff, or a few weeks, and I remember I thought to myself, like, I'm feeling a bit lonely,
Yep.
so let me go on the Couchsurfer website and be like, even though my aunt's place is there, can I just take a couch?
Are you serious? Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, just so that I can, like,
Meet a stranger,
meet a
right?
stranger and stuff. And I met this lady who was a chef, right?
Yeah.
And, like, I mean, it was like super casual. I mean, okay, wait. Check it. So what was funny was, it wasn't casual at the start. And this was maybe perhaps the culture that we don't experience in Singapore, because
Sure.
she came to meet me with someone else, almost as if to make sure that I was legit and not a criminal or a murderer, And it was at that moment I realized, like, wow, how sheltered am I, like.
Yeah.
And because, like, in I mean, I don't know, but in London that must have been like, if you were a guy, you'd be like, oh, that checks out.
Right.
But as a Singaporean, when I experienced that, I was like, oh, I'm insulted.
How dare you?
You think I'm a criminal? No, but I understood, because at the end of the day, it's important for her to feel safe.
Yeah.
But once that was settled, right, and we were at a bar, and we were just having a drink, eating some fries and stuff, and, like, my goal was really just to make a friend, but her goal in meeting a stranger was to unload her pain and her
Baggage.
sorrow and her baggage
Oi.
without having to worry. And for me, that was okay at that moment. I wouldn't appreciate that all the time, but in that moment, I appreciated it because it helped me understand that two strangers wanted two different things at this moment,
Oh yeah.
but somehow it worked out that we both were able to accommodate each other. And so I think there's a lot to be said about, strangers and that ability to just open up.
That's an amazing story, dude.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you guys still keep in contact?
Actually, no, not maybe after 2 years after, we just kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that happens, obviously.
Yeah, that happens. I mean, I don't mind it, some friends are meant to be for that period of time.
Yeah,
and then,
exactly.
And how nice if we see them again, but it's not a big deal.
Wow.
Yeah. But I mean, the point I suppose I'm trying to make is, maybe we as a society, in order for us to be better and stronger together, we need to treat each other more like strangers than we do friends and family, right?
I mean, in a way, yeah. So the thing that I sometimes don't like about the entrepreneur circle, and I've been very blessed with the friends that I've made, where we can literally sit together and go, how are sales? Oh my god, dude, you have no idea. This month is awful. But you know what? I'm planning this. But I think sometimes when you've been doing this for long enough, you can tell when someone's fronting a little bit. So when you ask them, how's sales? Oh, it's amazing, man. It's going good. And that obviously you have to show a certain side of yourself where you're guarded. But if anyone asks me how are sales, I would tell you the honest answer. This month, not so good. But who knows about the next month? So we are taught always to have a certain kind of identity. Once again, the imposter syndrome thing, right? Where you're supposed to show yourself in a certain light. And people will see you that certain way that you portray yourself. But maybe we should just try to be a little bit more open. Just try to be a little bit more expressive and sincere.
Yeah. That's so true, man. Yeah. It's funny what you learn about the world and yourself when your medium of connecting with people is art, right?
Yeah. Wait, let me tell you one story. So it really okay. If I don't know if this girl follows Nova Encounter and she listens to this, but this story just hit me. I was at an event and this girl came up to me and she was wearing glasses. I remember her glasses. It was one of those like round Harry Potter glasses, and she sits down for like a full 3 minutes and she is sobbing. And there's a queue behind her, and I think the beautiful thing about no one was like, hey, Jibe. It's like, hey, Jibe.
Can you cry behind the line?
Hey, Kine. Yeah, so they were all just waiting patiently for her to just finish crying, and she just wiped the tears away and she said, today's my last day with my boyfriend. We decided to break up today. And 2 years ago, we met you, and I don't think you remember me, but you wrote a poem for the two of us when we got together. I want you to write a poem for us to break up. And she gave me the poem, and I read it, and I was trying to. So I said, okay. So what I usually ask is, I think you remember. What's your favorite thing about the person? What's their favorite color? Tell me a memory that you have with them or whatnot. And so I remember at one point I didn't want to ask all that, obviously, because it obviously stung. So I just said, can you describe him? And she said, he's right there. He's right standing over there. And I turned around and he is literally standing there. And so I wrote the poem. She took it. She gave it to him. They read it. And then they walked separate ways. It is crazy dramatic, but it really hit me. Like, it really, really hit me that I was part of this, a complete stranger. I was part of their relationship in the start and the end, which is insane. And it's very humbling. I cannot keep saying that, but it's really humbling to be part of so many experiences.
Yeah.
It's like okay, it's a bit like that thing where some people like being in the center of the photo, but can you imagine how it feels to be that person always in the back of the photo, where they're by themselves eating or they're walking past, and you're a part of everyone's photograph? Sometimes it feels that way when you're the poet for relationships.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting analogy. So maybe your legacy would be to be in the background
The
of
guy in the
every
background.
photo.
It's not on my face, it's just my poem.
You know, I think I suppose this question is more for all the writers out there. You know, you're working on your second book.
Yeah.
What is the biggest challenge, struggle, or frustration when it comes to the writing process?
Oh, you're killing it with the questions, man.
Yeah, I try.
You try your best, man. Put your shirt back on. Okay. The toughest thing about writing. Give me a second to stew in the silence.
This tape is not digital. Better hurry up.
Yeah. To not make it too personal, and at the same time to not make it too foreign. So it's striking the fine balance. So I remember that there's one character in the book that's inspired by a friend. And when I wrote, so my older sister likes to read in my opinion, she's a far greater writer than I ever will be. Maybe it's just the thing where you have an older sister and you look up to her a lot, but her writing is superb. But she's a doctor now. Okay. Shout out the healthcare workers. Yeah, and she's a doctor now, and so sometimes she just have me look through my writing. And so when she read my full book, she said, dude, why would you give this character this ending? And I said, I don't know, like, because I thought it fit. She goes, no, it does not fit. Like, you did this in the start, and you did this in the middle. You alluded to the ending, but you didn't give him the ending. Why didn't you pull the trigger? And I just realized why. It's because I knew who this person was. So in my head, I cannot give him an ending because I know him as a person. So you cannot write a book, you cannot write a character entirely based on someone you know. You need to morph it a little bit. You need to change some things about it. And I think that's the toughest part, where it needs to be close to your heart, but at the same time, it cannot be entirely based on your experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a great philosophy for life if you think about it, because then
Also,
because just if we look at it from our perspective in life, right, we all have a plan, a rough plan of who we want to be and what we want to achieve.
oh yeah,
But as life gets in the way and as experience gets in the way, those our perceptions of ourselves and the things our ambitions and the things we want us around, the things around us that we want will kind of morph into something that fits who we are now.
yeah,
And instead of holding on to the past of, no, I really planned that I was going to be this.
exactly.
You have to be
Yeah.
like, no, this is who I am now, and what's going to be in sync with and what I can live with
Yeah.
is this. And I think that it kind of, for me, that's what I'm getting, as a philosophy for life is similar
sure.
to the philosophy
Yeah.
of writing.
Look, you trying to like attach all these kind of clues and breadcrumbs.
No, because I enjoy the reason why I try to draw out these things is because everyone has a way of approaching life without actually realizing that it comes from their own personal experience as well, right? Because
yeah.
like, for example, like your sister telling you this, right, is her way of saying, like, like in her experience and her wisdom, it says like, hey, hello, we all mature and change,
Yeah, exactly.
So how come your writer still stays, how come your protagonist still stays the same?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's what the message was.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
So in terms of, writing and you feel like there's the need to change, the question I have, like, when you finish writing,
Yeah,
and when it's time to send it off, how many times do you think like this is not good enough before?
always. No, till right now. And this is literally draft number 12.
Yeah.
I changed the story 12 times. It's crazy. So okay, so after Finders and Keepers, my poetry collection. So this is my first full-length novel. When it was done, the moment after it was published, I told my editor, next step, we're gonna do a full-length novel. He goes, okay, how long do you want? And I said, give me 6 months. And he's like, he's like, yeah, okay, 6 months. You say one, huh?
Yeah.
So 6 months he texts me, hey, how is it? I'm like, give me 3 more months. He goes, okay. Then another 3 months pass. Where is it? Give me 3 more months. So literally it took me about a year, I think about a year to finish this whole novel. And I'm still not happy with it. Because I still keep thinking that there are some things that you can add, some things that you can remove, some things you can change. And I think if you ever think a product is complete, you haven't thought hard enough. Maybe just me being my classic overthinking self. Yeah, how about you? I mean, when you finish your novel?
Yeah, that was a tricky one. When I finished writing, the story I wanted to tell was complete. I couldn't really change much, and I didn't want to change much.
Yeah.
What I was really unhappy with was just my writing, because
Why?
I don't think my command of the written word is very good.
Sure.
So not to blow my own horn, but I think I'm a good storyteller.
No, you are.
But I'm
You
not.
forget I read your book.
Oh, yeah.
I read your book, yeah.
But I'm not as good with the written word as I would like to be. So that was the challenge for me. I'll be like, no, I need to rewrite this. No, I need to rewrite this.
Oh no, it happens to everyone.
But it's not because the story wasn't told, it was told.
Yeah.
But then after that, I was like, nah, but my England,
My England, no strong.
Yeah. So I think we all go through that same thing. But it's just different reasons why we don't think it's perfect.
Yeah. Like for me, I'm always trying to evolve as a storyteller. That's why when people call me, hey, so you're a poet then? I'm like, I'm not just a poet. Like, okay, so I'm a poet and I'm writing a full-length novel. And I actually did this short film with a buddy of mine. I wrote the script and he was he did the film for it. And I almost wrote the song lyrics for a friend of mine, but it didn't happen because of his whole COVID thing. But maybe down the road, right?
Yeah.
So I'm always trying to improve what I write, and just as a storyteller, just keep trying to improve on what I'm doing. So I think I'll never be happy. I don't know if I'll ever be happy with my finished product.
Yeah. And I think that's perfectly okay, right? I
Yeah.
think maybe that's what we need to get over.
I guess so. Oh, wait, you know what makes me cringe? When someone reads a poem I wrote out loud.
So
No.
what do you tell them? Hey, shh.
No, I'm like, no, I actually did. Like, it kills me. It kills me. So it really like okay. So when I finish writing a poem, I give them their poem, and then what I will do is I'll try to like rustle with a money tail or try to fix my typewriter. But no, I'm just trying to avoid eye contact.
Yeah.
Because I don't want them to force themselves to react just for my behalf.
Oh, that's true. That's a
Right?
good point.
Or the worst one is when you imagine if I'm fixing my typewriter, all I hear is, yeah, thank you. Yeah, so
Yeah,
I just don't want you to fake a reaction. I want you to just experience it for yourself.
that's a good point. Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
Nice. So, before we move into your fan questions,
The fan questions.
or follower questions,
Follow
whatever
questions.
you
Yeah.
want to call it, semantics. But I want to ask a question that I ask as many of my guests as possible,
Do it.
and that is, what life lesson has taken you the longest to learn?
Several moments later. Oh, that's a really hard question.
What comes to mind? You don't have to overthink.
Sure.
Yeah.
If I had to immediately point it out, it would be the whole theory of accepting where I am. And I think, okay, I'm not saying I'm constantly a grass is greener kind of person, but to accept who I am in the situation that I am right now, it's always been quite challenging for me.
Why?
So when someone, okay, so even when someone comes up to me and says, "Oh my God, you are a really good poet," not to blow my own horn, "Oh, you're a really good poet," I'll say thanks, but part of me in the back of my head goes, "Not yet, not yet." And so recently, I did this thing with Singlet Station, where they will get a piece of work from established writer or an author, and then they'll ask a freelancer, me, to go in there and then write a response to that. And so at first I was like, yeah, okay, sure, let's do it. And they said, okay, you will be doing it for Cyril Wong's piece. And I went, really? Him? And I'm sure almost every person in Singapore knows who he is, or who he is as a writer. And immediately I was like, I don't know if I deserve to. I don't know if it would be good. Like, what if he laughs at it? What if he? But
did you express your doubt?
In the piece, not really.
No, as in, did you express your doubt to the organizer?
Yes, I did. I said, wait, really? Are you sure? And she goes, nah, he'll love it. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. And so at the end of the day, maybe I kind of have to accept the fact that we are all in this space. And however you want to partake in it or elevate or stay in it is entirely up to you. And how everyone else reacts is entirely up to them. But you are not immediately connected to them until you actually accept who you are. So yeah, the reason why I started writing poetry, actually, a lot of times I always say this, but I never really delve deep into it, is that in a way writing saved my life. And I started writing because I wanted to connect to people. I want to try to understand human nature. And then now the more I write, the more I realize I want people to feel like they belong. I want you to know that you are not alone in how you feel. And so I'm really trying my best to get better at accepting where I am.
Yeah. But that's a great North Star as well, So good for you.
Yeah.
All right, now to the more follower driven questions.
Da-na-da-da-na-da.
Give me a moment. Let me draw it up. I need to find a more light-hearted one.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
Are there any happier ones?
Sure. Let's see. What are your favorite TV shows and movies? I know one, BoJack Horseman, right? I think you mentioned.
Dude, do you watch BoJack Horseman?
I don't, but I know you like it. Yeah.
I've only seen a few episodes.
Okay.
And it was deeply, deeply, beautifully, hilariously unsettling. For anyone listening to this, go on YouTube and just see and watch.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
Yeah.
See the scene that says "The view from halfway down." It is ridiculous. It is so good. Anyway, but okay, wait. Did they say how many?
No, they just says, what are your favorite TV shows and movies?
Kind of basic. I like The Office, Mad Men, Friends, Peaky Blinders, Community. if I had to say a few, yeah.
That's a good list.
Yeah, thanks, man.
So
Yeah.
you do like the lighthearted.
I do.
comedy,
Okay,
yeah?
people always assume that I'm a very sad person, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
Okay, do you know what? Once, I have two female friends who.
Only two? No, just
So
kidding.
I have two really close female
Yeah.
friends who I'm actually meeting them for dinner after this.
Nice.
So I have two close female friends where when they try to set me up, they would always jokingly call me an onion. So they say I have many layers and I will make you cry. So
Wow. Don't know what to make of that.
So annoying, yeah. The biggest cock blockers. But yeah, so the assumption is always that because I'm a writer, I'm very emotional, I'm very melodramatic. But in general, I am kind of a awkward turtle, like in a way that I communicate. I think maybe because when I was young, I was friendless, as you would say.
Yeah. Well, fair enough. And for listeners, since you can't see Adam, he is not wearing all black, with a mohawk. So yeah, he's fine. Not there's anything wrong with
No
that.
mohawks, yeah,
Yeah,
good.
it's just
Nice save.
he's not as dark as
Eyeliner.
yeah. Another one that's pretty I think is a short answer. Would you ever sell your typewriter?
No,
Okay.
never.
So
Daisy. No.
whoever asked that question, Daisy is not for sale. Guess you have to get your own.
We have been through a lot of tough times, so
Yeah.
Daisy's my bae.
Yeah, so get your own, whoever wrote that. Okay, let's see what else.
They're all quite serious,
Ooh,
right? Oh, what?
would you do Finders and Keepers too? For those who don't know, Finders and Keepers was his first set of poems.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, would you do part 2?
My editor and I have talked about this. So Finders and Keepers is a collection of poems that are all inspired by 3 words from strangers. And as of late, I've started to write poetry that is more so from what I feel. And it used to be the toughest thing to if you look at my Novel Encounter Instagram, in the start it was always written by Novel Encounter. Only recently I started to say written by Adam Tai, which for me was the toughest thing in the world to even accept to put my work out there into that bracket space.
Yeah.
So I guess I would love to, but my editor told me if I ever did a second collection, he might want it to be just poems written by me.
That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
It'll be a nice alternative to the other people's voices.
Yeah, I guess so.
What boxes or briefs?
But boxes. No, wait. Okay.
If you have to take this
okay,
long to think,
wait. I'm very straight. Okay, I'm always in the middle. What's that thing that is
boxer briefs.
boxer briefs. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Well, oh my god, I have a master's in English.
Ah man, someone needs to check that cert. Single or taken?
I am an entire music album.
Wow, that was a waste of time.
The funniest thing was that my follow. I think I told you this just now.
Yeah.
A lot of my followers for the very beginning, they kept asking me these kind of questions. Are you attached? And they'll ask me these kind of questions. I'll just purposefully just dodge it. Okay. So they'll say something like, "Are you attached?" And I'll be like, "I'm attached to all the characters I write." Yeah. so,
but are you though?
Yeah, I'm single. Yeah.
All right, there you go.
Yeah, finally answered. Yeah. You guys are welcome.
Okay. Okay. If you have, all of this is like pretty serious, I would say. But I guess if I want to say something that's befitting to the stuff that you do,
cool.
Perhaps I can ask. I wish to be a better writer. Do you have any advice?
Wow. Be sincere. I think I always say this. The only bad poem in the world is something insincere. So I would say that, have you ever loved someone? Have you ever lost someone? Have you ever had something you want to say but you never really quite found the words? That's your perfect starting point. Now, don't screw it up by being insincere. I feel like when I first started, I tried to be very excessively flowery with my words.
Yeah.
And that's not what makes things potent.
Yeah.
Things are potent when people aren't stupid. They can tell when you're really putting your heart into it. So my ultimate advice would be, don't try to be someone else. Just write how you write and be sincere.
Got it. To all my literature teachers out there. I wasn't bad.
I wasn't bad, okay?
I was sincere. Okay. Well, Adam, before I let you go,
Aw.
you know, I want you to, just tell us, just sum up Novel Encounter and how people can reach you if they're interested in, the services
Oh,
you
cool.
provide.
So the Novel Encounter, we basically sell curated mystery books and customized typewritten poetry. You just need to give me 3 words. I'll write you something. You can purchase this on thenovelencounter.com, or you can just check out my Instagram and Facebook, The Novel Encounter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But don't ask him if he's single. He already answered that.
Finally.
Yeah. Adam, it was a real pleasure. I really
Yeah,
enjoyed
thanks so
it.
much, man. You too.
And I look forward to having you back on if you've got something else worth talking about.
Absolutely.
Maybe we'll do a duet with you and John.
Yes. I'll text him right now.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Cheers, Adam.